Good morning. Advanced bone protection. When we think about bones, our minds conjure up images of museums with magnificent displays of dinosaur bones, a legacy left behind millions of years ago. And perhaps because of this legacy, this seemingly permanent nature of bones, it's firmly entrenched in our minds that bones are nothing more than hard but dead material. And yet, the reality is different. Bones are an amazing, living, vibrant tissue with lots of activity going on. Like other tissues, bones receive blood supply that brings valuable nutrients and oxygen and takes away toxins and waste product. Even more remarkable is the fact that bones continue to recycle, replacing old bones with new ones. Now, bones are more than just columns of calcium. They're a highly organized structure with a definite architecture composed of hard material impregnated with minerals like calcium, magnesium, manganese, zinc, copper, and soft tissue like blood vessels. And then there are other materials like collagen, a type of protein. If I use the analogy of reinforced concrete, then the cement would represent calcium and the reinforcing rods would represent the collagen fibers. Now, bones perform a number of important functions. For example, they provide us with shape and framework. They allow us mobility and they provide us with an attitude. Without bones would be nothing more than a blob of proteinaceous mass on the floor, unable to support ourselves. Bones also protect internal organs like the brain, the lungs, the heart, the kidneys, and so on. And they also help synthesize red blood cells, which continually have to be replaced every 4 months. And of course, finally, bones act as a reservoir for many minerals, but particularly calcium. Over 99% of body's calcium is stored in the bones. Let's just talk briefly about the role that calcium plays in the body. Now, calcium plays a very varied role in the body. For example, it helps maintain the pH balance, which is the acidity or the alkalinity of the body. It helps with nerve transmission and muscle contraction, helps with blood clotting, and of course with bone health. Now, less than 1% of the calcium is stored in the blood. And because of these important functions that calcium plays, blood levels of calcium are tightly regulated. Any variation can lead to death. When the calcium levels begin to fall, the body senses this and immediately instructs the bone to release more calcium. Likewise, when there is a surplus amount of calcium in the body, the excess amount can be shuttled to the bones, provided the bones are receptive in receiving this excess calcium. No matter how much calcium is in the body, unless the bones are receptive, most of the calcium will either be lost or end up in places where it has no business. Now, I mentioned earlier that bones undergo this unique process of recycling, replacing old bones with new ones. Now, this is due to the process called bone regeneration. Now, bone regeneration is an interplay of two opposing forces, bone formation and bone destruction. And there's a constant tug-of-war between these two processes, which occurs from the day we are born right up till the time we die. Now, why does bone regeneration occur? Well, for two reasons really. First, to help maintain calcium levels. And we know calcium is very important in performing these numerous functions. And secondly, bones continually undergo wear and tear. They become weak, they become brittle, and they have to be replaced. So from the time we are born till about mid-20s, bone formation greatly exceeds bone destruction. Bones increase in size, they increase in strength, and they increase in hardness. So the bone density curve, which is a measure of bone strength and bone health, rises sharply until it reaches a maximum, which is called the peak bone mass. The bones are at their strongest. This is as good as it gets as far as bone health is concerned. After this, unfortunately, the peak bone density and the bone density curve starts declining. The bones become weaker, they become much more fragile and more prone to destruction. And this is because bone destruction begins to overtake bone formation. That is why it is imperative that parents give their children the best possible start to bone health by achieving the highest peak bone mass. It's an insurance policy, if you will, that will guard the children against the ravages of bone destruction as they begin to age. Now, there are other factors that also are important in the decline of the bone mineral density curve. For example, there's genetics, there is age. The older we get, the further or the greater the decline. Then there is menopause. In women, the hormone estrogen normally keeps these bone-destroying cells under check. When the level of estrogen begins to fall around the time of menopause and thereafter, these cells become much more active, weakening the bone, increasing the bone fragility, and causing greater fractures. Other important factors in the decline of the bone mineral density curve are, for example, lifestyle changes, for example, exercise and obesity. pH also plays an important role. This is the amount of acidity or the alkalinity of the body. When the body is overly acidic, the body uses the calcium ions to help neutralize this excess acid. And of course, these calcium ions come from the bone. So prolonged acidic environment in the body will eventually weaken the bones because the calcium ion is constantly leaching out of the bones. Other factors that are important, of course, are, for example, exercise, as well as nutrition. For example, the consumption of flour, sugar, vegetarian diet, the amount of protein intake. And finally, of course, supplemental use. Besides the various minerals, calcium and magnesium, various vitamins are also important. For example, vitamin D, which helps with the absorption of calcium from the intestines, and vitamin K, which helps with the cross-linking of the collagen fibers, the reinforcing rods in the analogy that I mentioned earlier. The greater the cross-linking, the stronger the bones. So osteoporosis is a term that literally means porous bones. It's a weakening of the bones because of the less amount of minerals that are deposited, and the architecture is lost. The bones become more fragile, and there is high incidence of fractures of the wrist, the spine, the collarbone, and so on. So what else is there besides the various minerals like calcium and strontium for bone health? Recently, AOR has launched a product called Advanced Bone Protection. This is a patented product from Japan. Now, this is a small protein which is both alkaline and can help neutralize the excess acid, and is derived from whey, a perfectly natural product. Now, the whey protein that is used in the manufacture of this product comes from New Zealand, so there are no issues of antibiotics or hormones. Now, Advanced Bone Protection has three distinct mechanisms of action. Firstly, it stimulates the bone-forming cells called osteoblasts. Second, it suppresses the bone-destroying cells called osteoclasts. And thirdly, which is quite a unique mechanism for Advanced Bone Protection, it helps increase the receptivity of the bones for calcium ions. It's as if the Advanced Bone Protection places a layer of Velcro on the bones so more calcium ions can stick to the bones and increase the bone mineral density. Now, some of the advantages of Advanced Bone Protection are, besides being a patented product, it's a perfectly natural product. And also, it's a product that is highly effective. There are over 8 human clinical studies showing the effectiveness of this product. Advanced Bone Protection also acts very quickly. In one study, just using one small capsule a day for 6 months, the women were significantly able to increase their bone mineral density compared with the group that did not supplement with Advanced Bone Protection. Advanced Bone Protection is also a vegetarian product, and only a very small dose is required, one small capsule a day, which is unlike, say, for example, calcium, where you have to use 4 to 6 capsules per day. Another important point of Advanced Bone Protection, there are no interactions either with food or supplements or with any medication. This is unlike, say, for example, strontium, which interacts with calcium ions and has to be taken away from calcium or dairy products, or vitamin K, which cannot be taken or should not be taken by anyone that is on Coumadin or blood thinning medication. Advanced bone protection is also a very safe product for infants, for seniors, for adults as well. And again, this is unlike, say, strontium, which cannot be taken by anybody under the age of 16. And finally, advanced bone protection is a safe product during pregnancy for women that are nursing, which is again unlike, say, for example, strontium. So advanced bone protection is the innovative solution for bone health, which is both safe, effective, and highly efficacious. Thank you.